Looks like the clown show continues to go on in the Indiana Fever organization led by Amber Cox, clown show, Kelly Krauskopf, clown show, and the bozo of all bozos, head coach Stephanie White, who's just, all of them, they are just sabotaging Caitlin Clark's career. It looks like GM Andrew Cox fires off on Caitlin Clark fans on social media and starts blocking them as well. This is an immature, nasty organization. Caitlin Clark and her agent Aaron Kane need to demand a trade immediately. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel.
The trade demand is finally on the table, and the Indiana Fever organization is in a total state of panic tonight. Rumors of an explosive sabotage plot against Caitlin Clark have reached a boiling point, and the front office is reportedly scrambling to contain the fallout. It is not just about bad coaching anymore, it is about a systematic attempt to sideline the biggest star in basketball. The walls are closing in on Stephanie White and her staff, as the truth behind their bizarre decision starts to leak out to the public.
Organization, Caitlin Clark and her agent Aaron Kane need to demand a trade immediately. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let's get right into things. So we all watched the travesty that took place last night, and Stephanie White trying to crash out on Caitlin Clark, Raven Johnson fouling out in 9 minutes. I mean, it just was a complete joke by Stephanie White. I think she exposed herself. I think she exposed the fact that she's not a good coach at all, and she needs to be fired. And if you don't want to fire her,
Amber Cox is currently on a social media rampage, blocking fans and firing off defensive posts that scream desperation. Instead of addressing the concerns of the people who pay for tickets, the GM is treating the fan base like the enemy. She has been caught taking shots at fans online, specifically those who noticed the scammy way the team handled Clark's late scratch from a recent game. This is not how a professional executive behaves, unless they are trying to hide a much larger failure within the building.
And he also had this today. He had a bunch of things to say. So we got Amber Cox blocking Caitlin Clark fans, right? Because she can't handle the heat, so she need to get her ass up out the kitchen and get up out of here. Get your ass up out the kitchen and get up out of here. She can't handle the heat and the pressure that's coming with this, and she's bewilting under the pressure. Okay, Jason Whitlock has had this to say. Check this out. Here it says, these four women put the alphabet mafia agenda above basketball business. Your personal life should be your personal life. It should not be your business agenda. Okay, and
the situation turned nasty when Cox reportedly started blocking high-profile critics like Jason Whitlock for simply pointing out the obvious. When a GM starts silencing journalists and fans alike, it is a clear sign that the heat in the kitchen has become unbearable. She is wilting under the pressure of managing a generational talent, and her only solution is to hit the block button and pretend the criticism does not exist. It is an immature display that proves this organization is currently being run like a high school drama department.
Agenda above basketball business. Your personal life should be your personal life. It should not be your business agenda. Okay? And these are the four who are responsible for the sabotage of Caitlin Clark. And you too. Lynn Dunn is a part of the sabotage of Caitlin Clark. Obviously, Bozo the Clown, Stephanie White is a part of the sabotage of Stephanie White's a part of the sabotage of Caitlin Clark. GM Amber Cox, I don't do no scouting. I can't put a roster together to save my life. Amber Cox is a part of the sabotage. And president of basketball operations.
Stephanie White's coaching during the last game was nothing short of a travesty that exposed her lack of a real plan. She rotated 11 different players into the game in just the first quarter, a move that left analysts and fans completely stunned. You do not play 11 people in 10 minutes unless you are trying to prevent your starters from finding a rhythm. It is a fireable offense in any other professional league. Yet in Indiana, it is being treated as a legitimate strategy. This is where the sabotage claims start to gain real traction.
They were playing 3 games in 4 nights. It was actually Portland playing its 3rd game in 4 nights. Steph played 11 players in the first quarter. Wrong coach. 11 players in the first quarter is an atrocity. It is a fireable offense. It is a fireable offense. You got Amber Cox blocking Jason Whitlock because he's being honest and keeping it real about what is going on with the Indiana Fever. They played 11 damn players in the first quarter. They put Ty Harris into the game before they subbed Caitlin Clark back in.
Why would you ever put Ty Harris back into a game before your franchise player, Caitlin Clark? That is the question everyone is asking after White's latest coaching disaster. It felt like a deliberate attempt to ice Clark out while she was trying to get going. This is not just a mistake, it is a pattern of behavior that suggests the coaching staff is actively working against their own best interest. They are treating their superstar like a bench warmer, and the frustration from Clark's camp is starting to turn into an all-out war.
The fix isn't in? Y'all don't believe the fix is in? Come on, man. A blind man could see this. This organization is a joke and a clown show. He also had this to say: if the Indiana Fever are run like a business, the decision to build around Caitlin Clark is easy. If the Indiana Fever are part of the WNBA's LGBTQ's agenda, then decisions are complicated and Caitlin Clark will be sacrificed. And it seems to be clear as day. It seems to be clear as day what they have decided.
There are 4 women at the top who are being blamed for this entire circus: Lynn Dunn, Stephanie White, Amber Cox, and Kelly Krauskopf. Critics are calling them the architects of a sabotage campaign designed to keep Clark from overshadowing the league's established hierarchy. These 4 are supposedly putting their own personal agendas ahead of the basketball business, and it is destroying the team's chemistry. When the people in charge of a roster do not actually want their best player to succeed, you have a recipe for a total organizational collapse.
He also had this to say: if the Indiana Fever are run like a business, the decision to build around Caitlin Clark is easy. If the Indiana Fever are part of the WNBA's LGBTQ's agenda, then decisions are complicated and Caitlin Clark will be sacrificed. And it seems to be clear as day. It seems to be clear as day what they have decided. It seems to be clear as day what they've decided. This organization is not doing right by Caitlin Clark. This organization is a circus. This organization.
Jason Whitlock did not hold back when he accused this leadership group of prioritizing an alphabet mafia agenda over winning games. He claims that Clark is being sacrificed on the altar of a political move within the WNBA. According to these claims, the organization is more worried about their social standing and personal lifestyles than they are about building a winning culture around a once-in-a-lifetime shooter. If these allegations are even half true, it explains why every decision made by the Fever seems to defy basic basketball logic.
Sports, you've done a disservice to the WNBA, and that's why Amber and Kelly has to leave also. See, y'all got this little weird relationship because y'all was all part of the organization years ago and whatnot, so y'all feel like y'all can do no wrong. Y'all are literally destroying the reason why people wanted to watch this motherfucker in the first place after 30 years.
Exactly. This
is crazy. You are a fucking horrible coach.
Typical.
Shout out to Angry Fan Sports. Y'all go over there and subscribe. They are destroying the very thing that got everybody paid, that got...
The defensive schemes coming out of Stephanie White's playbook are being described as the dumbest strategies in the history of the sport. She has the team switching 1 through 5, which frequently leaves a 5'9" guard trying to defend a center in the paint. It is a mismatch nightmare that any competent coach would fix in 5 seconds, yet, White doubles down on it every single night. It is almost as if she wants the team to fail defensively, just so she has an excuse to pull her stars or change the narrative of the game. This current management team is being labeled a clown show of their shared history and weird internal relationships. They all worked together years ago, and now they have reunited to run the Fever into the ground. It is a circle of protection where nobody is held accountable for their failures because they are all friends. They are destroying the very thing that brought millions of new eyes to the WNBA, and they seem to be doing it with a smile on their faces while the rest of the world watches in total disbelief and anger. Instead of surrounding Clark with shooters and athletic defenders, the front office has spent their budget on acquisitions that make zero sense. They spent the first off-season chasing players who do not fit the system, and the second paying huge money to veterans who are not moving the needle. It shows a complete lack of scouting and a total misunderstanding of how to build around a generational point guard. Amber Cox is being slammed for her inability to put together a cohesive roster, making it look like the failure is intentional from the start. The pressure of the spotlight has caused this entire organization to wilt in a way we have never seen before. They were not ready for the level of scrutiny that comes with Caitlin Clark, and instead of rising to the occasion, they have turned into a defensive, bitter mess. They are more upset that Clark is a bigger story than the team's minor successes than they are about actually winning a championship. When your front office is bitter toward their own superstar, the relationship is officially broken beyond any hope of repair. Look at how other teams handle their stars like Aya Wilson or Paige Buchers. You do not see them being yanked out of the game 4 minutes into the first quarter for no reason. You do not see their coaches experimenting with 11-player rotations in the middle of a tight race. Those organizations understand that you ride your best players to the finish line. Stephanie White is doing the exact opposite, and it is a massive disservice to the WNBA and the fans who showed up specifically to see the league's most exciting player in action. There is a deep-seated bitterness coming from Amber Cox regarding how the media covers this team. She reportedly went on social media to complain that the story of Clark being a late scratch was bigger than the team beating a struggling Portland squad. This kind of petty jealousy from a GM toward her own player is unheard of and proves that the leadership is compromised. They want the glory for themselves without acknowledging that Clark is the only reason anyone is paying attention to Indiana basketball in the first place. The irony is that the same Portland team they were so proud of beating recently came back and absolutely slaughtered the Fever in a humiliating blowout. It exposed the fact that the previous win was a fluke, and that Stephanie White has no idea how to adjust when things get tough. While the coach was busy crashing out and making questionable subs, the team was falling apart on both ends of the floor. It was a complete joke of a performance that highlighted every single flaw in this current coaching regime and front office. The fact that Jason Whitlock and other prominent voices are being blocked by the GM shows that the organization has no defense for their actions. If they were doing the right thing, they would not need to silence the critics. They are hiding behind social media blocks because they cannot handle the heat of a real conversation about their sabotage tactics. It is a nasty, immature way to run a professional franchise, and it is only making the fans more determined to see Clark traded to a team that actually respects her legendary talent. Even the game announcers are starting to pick up on the insanity of the Fever's defensive strategies. During a recent broadcast, the commentators had to explain why a guard like Clark was being left to defend a much larger post player. They pointed out that Indiana switches the most in the entire league, even when it creates a massive disadvantage. When the people paid to call the game are questioning your logic on live television, you know you have lost the plot. White is being exposed as a coach who is completely out of her league. Many fans are now convinced that the fix is in and that the organization is deliberately trying to humble Clark. They are not just making mistakes, they are following a script designed to keep her from reaching her full potential this early in her career. Whether it is the bizarre rotations or the lack of offensive sets designed for her, everything points toward a coordinated effort to slow down her momentum. You would have to be blind not to see the patterns of sabotage that are playing out on the court every single night in Indiana. The claims of a hidden agenda are growing louder as the team continues to make decisions that hurt their bottom line. From a business perspective, building around Clark is the easiest decision in the world. She brings the fans, the ratings, and the revenue. But if the Fever are more committed to their internal politics and social agendas, then those business goals will always take a back seat. This conflict of interest is what is driving the wedge between the players and the management, and it is threatening to blow up the entire season. The Indiana Fever fan base is reaching its breaking point, and they are making their voices heard across every platform. They did not sign up to watch a coach play mind games with a superstar, or a GM block everyone who disagrees with her. The organization is treating the fans like they are stupid, but the people see exactly what is happening. They see the sabotage, they see the panic, and they see the disrespect. This is a circus that needs to be shut down before it does permanent damage to the credibility of the entire league. Ultimately, the Indiana Fever organization has to make a choice. Do they want to be a serious basketball team, or a social experiment? You cannot sabotage your best player and expect to maintain the respect of the fans or the league. If they continue down this path of blocking critics and yanking Clark out of games, they will lose everything they have built. The world is watching, and the clock is ticking on Stephanie White's tenure. Either they change their ways immediately, or they will go down in history as the team that threw away the greatest gift they ever received.